in the Center for Public Policy at the Administrative Staff College of India. This presentation is about a study which SIPS and ASCII have conducted together recently, and this is a study awarded to us by the Department of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Heard about the common service centers. These are of course known by different names in different states, but their purpose is the same. Delivery points for the government to citizen services, business to citizen services, and so on and so forth. The Government of India felt that an evaluation study or an assessment study would be in the fitness of things so as to understand the scope for improvement in the scheme. CSC scheme, as all of you know, is a mission mode project of DAITY, Government of India, so that the CSCs can be positioned for an enriched role and performance. That's the basic idea or genesis behind DAITY inviting SIPS and ASCII combined to conduct this study. We went about, this study happened during the May-October period of 2013, and we had come up with certain draft recommendations which are under the consideration of the department at Delhi. I thought we would share with you the salient findings that have emerged out of this study, and I would like to thank Shri Chakrapani Garu for not only giving me this opportunity but giving us the opportunity to partner with SIPS in this very interesting study. The sample is the states which we were asked to do the assessment in were what you see there on the screen: Andhra Pradesh, JK, Jharkhand, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Tripura, and roughly the number of CSCs which were present in those states and what is the kind of sample that we have chosen for the survey is before you. So this is just to give you a perspective that it's a kind of a pan the 7-state study, and we chose the districts and the spread in an equitable manner so that the study results are representative. The methodology briefly, just in one slide to put before you as a perspective, is as I said, we conducted during May-October. The study also included surveying, actually interviewing the village level entrepreneurs. As you would know, village level entrepreneur is the person who is in charge of the CSC, the Common Service Center, and he is called village entrepreneur because the purpose of the CSC scheme is not only to reach out the services of the government, of the social sector, of the businesses, almost at the doorstep of the citizen. It is also to spur the economic and social development in these villages. And how would that happen? CSCs in themselves are an important vehicle, are a very powerful vehicle in promoting entrepreneurship, because the educated youth, if they come forward and choose to become the village level entrepreneurs, of course there is a process by which the applications are screened and the state governments in turn appoint these village level entrepreneurs. So it's a scheme that spurs entrepreneurship at the ground level, at the grassroots level. So in that sense, not only is the delivery of services to the citizens an important aspect of the CSC scheme, but also spurring entrepreneurship at the local level so that the social and economic conditions at the local level could be leveraged appropriately. That's another very laudable objective of the scheme. So this, as I said, this survey, the study included actually visiting 840 CSCs across the country, running a questionnaire with the village level entrepreneurs, and also we did a survey on the citizens. Typically 5 users per CSC we selected at random, and 3 non-users. Supposing somebody says that he is not using the services, then we went about asking him why, the reasons behind it, so on and so forth. The idea is to get a perspective, as I said, how do you make the CSCs more stronger, more sustainable, and more, in terms of meeting the objectives that they are set up for. So basically for an enriched role and performance, as I put it. We also interacted extensively with the state designated agencies. For example, in Andhra Pradesh, you have the Directorate of the Electronically Deliverable Services. Similarly, there are other state designated agencies in several parts of India and in these states as well. And these state designated, if you know the structure, how the CSCs operate, there is the IT department, the ICT department in the states, and below that there is this state designated agency, which in turn appoints by a tendering system, chooses through using due diligence and using suitable criteria on business skills, technical skills, service support strengths and such other factors, selects a set of SCAs, the service center agencies. The service center agencies in turn, in consultation with the SDA, appoint or select these village level entrepreneurs who are the cutting edge level functionaries in the CSCs in the states. So as part of the study, we conducted extensive focus group discussions with the STAs, SCAs and also the village level entrepreneurs. We also validated the data collected through the survey by making independent calls so that we know for sure that what is recorded on the instruments is actually the ground truth. And while we have collected a set of data, we thought we will cross-check this for validity, and because all the SDAs report the data into the Department of Electronics and Information Technology at the apex level or into the CSC special purpose vehicle at the apex level in Government of India, we took that data as well and saw whether these two data match, whether they are in sync or not, or one of us is out of sync. But I can share with you that what we collected is a representative. Of course, our survey is to collect the tangible as well as intangible factors also, whereas the numbers, the CSC special purpose vehicle only collects the numbers part, the transactions part, the income part, the commission part, so on and so forth. So we had a good amount of convergence between these two, which proves that the study that is conducted by us reasonably stands the test of validity. In terms of overall findings, and this is a snapshot of what we found. Interestingly, and it should go to the credit of the women colleagues who are here, whenever a CSC is headed by a woman entrepreneur, we found that the income of CSCs is higher, in the sense maybe they are more involved, they are polite, and they are more committed to the job, or maybe they take it as a challenge to prove that, well, as entrepreneurs they must make it tick and must make it happen. So interestingly, we found that, and particularly, in fact, Rajasthan has special preference for women to become village level entrepreneurs. So the scheme itself encourages women. And in Kerala too, though there is not a laid down policy, but we found that a large number of women choose to become village level entrepreneurs in Kerala. So these two states we found are contributing to a phenomenon where the income is higher. And similarly, the state designated agencies, when they set up these CSCs, give a set of guidelines as to how the CSC should look, how it should be structured, how the visibility should be, how the signage should be, and how the CSC should be configured inside in terms of infrastructure and all that. So as long as these are met, the CSCs have higher visibility, we found that income is higher. And one angle which we also looked at is whether left-wing extremism is a cause which affects the operations of the CSCs, and results show that yes, where this problem is not existing, there is a better sustainability of the CSCs. And we also found that CSCs are more, which actually speaks that there is a good merit in scaling up the operations of CSCs. If the counters are more, which in turn speak about the number of transactions being higher, which in turn obviously contribute to the higher income. So if the CSCs are more equipped with more number of counters to cater to the requirements of the citizens, and this is particularly true in the state of Kerala, the income is higher. Similarly, internet availability is still an issue in several parts. For example, the WiMAX facility works at some places, doesn't work at some places, and there are issues with it. So wherever obviously internet connection is better, the CSE's incomes have been higher. Similarly, power is an important aspect, and power backup, where power is not there, there are certain CSEs which do not have a backup at all, and we have got actually statistics. I am not showing you the numbers because the time is limited. I am only sharing with you the broad findings, and those of you who are interested in knowing more detail, I will give you my mail ID at the end of the presentation. You can always contact us and we will share it with you. Income is also higher where the electricity availability is more, and one interesting study which actually is sort of promotes the green concept is many of the CSEs where power supply is a problem are actually using solar power as a backup, which is actually a very desirable phenomenon, and this will sort of a step forward in terms of the green initiatives, which is quite a heartening thing to find. We also found interestingly that these village level entrepreneurs, some of them have other activities also, maybe they run a few other businesses and things like that, but we found that income is more if CSE is the only source of income for the VLE. Perhaps he shows greater commitment and dedication to making the CSE a success. Similarly, we found that when the VLE is, if he is educated individual, he or she is an educated individual, and when we ask them the details, they are able to explain the ethos, the genesis of the CSE scheme to the citizen, and how the citizens can make use of these services, what is the entire bouquet of services available, and what are the charges which are at which the services could be availed. So there is a lot of awareness building that is happening by the VLEs if they are educated. So this is what we found, which contributes to the success of the VLE himself and also the CSE. If the service center agency which appoints the VLEs has a great responsibility on ensuring that the CSEs are set up with as few teething problems as possible, and also the SCA should handhold the VLEs in the smooth operations of the CSE. So we found that wherever this is happening, obviously income is higher. And as part of the scheme, when SDA signs an agreement with the SCA, and when the SCA signs an agreement with the village level entrepreneur, there is an inbuilt element of promotional campaigns, awareness building, etc., which has to be done by the parties concerned. And some do it religiously, some do not do it with all that kind of a dedication. And we found that wherever this is done, it has a distinct beneficial effect in terms of CSE's operations becoming successful and citizens benefiting out of it. Our study showed that Kerala, Madhya Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir VLEs had higher incomes, whereas the other 4 states had lower incomes. Other 3 states had lower incomes. What is the reason and what is the kind of incomes they are generating? We will come to that later when I analyze these states. And in terms of expenses also, we found that certain states are incurring low expenses, maybe because their transaction levels are lower, while other states which are high on transactions also understandably have higher expenses. In terms of income, we found that there is a kind of a mixed bag in terms of the success of CSEs. We have high income CSEs of about only 9%. Our definition of high income was who is earning greater than 10,000, and moderate income about 50% and low income about 49%. So the suggestions that we have made in the study are how do we move up these low income earning CSEs into the up bracket, and secondly, this acts as a guideline for us when the center wants to roll out more CSEs, because this, as we understand, because CSE scheme has been it has laudable agenda and laudable objectives, and it has been a success fairly. The government is actually thinking of improving the CSEs both in scale and in terms of the scope of services offered by them. So this goes into sort of helping them to fine tune their delivery mechanism. The mean level of expenditure we found was 5,346 per CSE, and majority, about 70% of it is going on the 4 factors that I have mentioned there. We also found that CSC income, we studied whether population has any effect, population in that area. Because as I said, roughly for 6,30,000 villages, you have about lakh and 20 CSCs. So roughly 6 villages are being catered to by one CSC. So we found whether population makes any difference to the operations of CSCs, but that doesn't appear to be so. We also found that incomes of CSC, incomes of village level entrepreneurs before the scenario, before they were part of the CSC scheme and after they have taken the responsibility and initiative of becoming a VLE, there is a perceptible improvement of the income, which actually goes to the credit of the scheme and which goes to speak about the goodness of the scheme and about its success. As far as SCAs are concerned, of course, certain numbers, certain names are given here, and there are of course certain reasons why they have been successful or why they have not been successful, why the others have not been successful. But just to give you a perspective of the fact that we also looked at which SCAs are doing well and which are not doing well. The 3 types of services which top across these 7 states are basically utility payments, education services, and business to citizen services. In terms of, because the commission that is charged, there is a which accrues to the VLE. Of course, there may be a sharing mechanism between the SCA and the VLE, but in terms of the commission earned, the top 3 types of services were these. And these, if you look at state-wise, which service is doing very well in the states, this is how the picture emerges in the respective states. I'll come to state-wise analysis. Maybe I'll spend 2 minutes on each one of them, and then we'll sum up. In Tripura, about 41%, that's the highest incidence of people. Somebody could be earning more, but the largest chunk of VLEs, about 41% of them are earning just about 3,000 rupees per month, and their expenditure is 2,500. So which goes to prove that there is good scope for sustainability. The popular services which they are catering to, I have given here. And the CSCs are called as E-Pariseva Kendras in Tripura, and they're unique. We found that these CSCs actually have one solid offering or the other in each of these states, and which actually acts as an anchor for them for delivery of services. And for Tripura, that happens to be the financial inclusion service, because there is a in the banking system now you have a small branch concept and an ultra small branch concept, and there are schemes where for financial inclusion you have opening of no frills accounts and things like that. So this CSC is acting as a good vehicle in improving the financial inclusion. But when our survey also showed that Tripura CSCs and citizens badly want the e-district services, the certificates which are given at that, which for example AP is very well equipped with, and it's a success story in AP. So introduction of e-district services is something, and many people say that we are not really clear about what our role is and how do we make CSCs as a true business model. So some kind of entrepreneurship training is required. Our study also saw, when we asked these non-users, why are you not using the services of CSC, 93% of them said, well, we don't know that there is a CSC here and that it offers all these services. So promotional campaign appears to be a casualty, and something needs to be done on that. Most of these, for example, of course there can be a mixed reaction to this. CSCs in Tripura are housed in the panchayat buildings. They say, well, look, the panchayat building, as one can generally expect, is in some corner, or it's not all that, hospitable place to go to, and the building is not all that good, etc. They said, how citizens would come to that corner? If you have a CSC in a business place where, in a marketplace where people visit frequently, then the popularity of CSC and its services would go up. So that's one of their suggestions. As far as Jharkhand is concerned, doing slightly better. About 47% of them earn about 5,000, and the expenditure is, so you can see that there is a better sustainability there. And the services which are given, Pragya Kendras as they are called in Jharkhand, the crucial services that they cater to are the government certificates and financial inclusion. Again, they feel that e-district services can make a distinct difference to their sustainability. And utility payments, they are not high on that, like payment of electricity, water bills and things like that. And again, here too, about 79% of the non-users are not aware. And again, entrepreneurship is a cause for low performance as they perceive, even in this state. Jammu and Kashmir, interestingly, is very, very high. That's partly because in Jammu and Kashmir, the service center agency is the J&K Bank itself. There is only one SCA in the state, and that is J&K Bank, and that is perhaps why financial inclusion is a major service which is being rolled across the state, and for good reasons. And they are earning about 10,000 rupees, and in fact my colleague Colonel Jamwal did the study in J&K, and he came back with these findings that they roughly expend about 3,200 rupees per month. So there's a good sustainability which is happening, but they can become much more sustainable because there is no G2C service there at all. If that were to be brought on to the vehicle of CSE, it would make a huge difference. So the USP, the unique selling proposition of Khidmat centers, as they are called in J&K, is the financial inclusion services and loan documentation, because per loan document I am told about 500 rupees the CSC, the VLE gets. So if he does 2 documents a day, he gets 1,000 rupees straight away income. So that goes to add to the services. But because the bank is, maybe for reasons of its own, it's not all that, pushing the G2C services. So if you were to have another SCA, which is what their suggestion was, which came up in the next one, need for one more SCA to concentrate on services as above. So that could prove further to the sustainability of the CSEs there. In Rajasthan, about 75% of the CSEs are just making about 3,000 rupees. Their expenditure pattern I have shown here. E-Mitra centers, as they are called in Rajasthan, are predominantly giving G2C services, including education related services, exam fee payments and things like that, and certificates. Rajasthan also feels that utility payments can be a game changer for them, and 55% of the non-users are not aware of the CSE. In Madhya Pradesh, again, the situation, the sustainability is better, but only 39% of them are making as high as 10,000 rupees. And the popular services, education is a very, very popular service because the CSEs are giving out these NIELIT, National Institute of Electronics and Technology, NIELIT Information Technology, NIELIT certified courses, computer concept, basic computer concepts and courses like that. So actually CSEs in Madhya Pradesh are contributing quite substantially to skill building exercise. You have this skill development corporation, as all of you know, and there is a specific agenda for building the skills of the young unemployed youth. And NIELIT, through NIELIT, CSEs of Madhya Pradesh are making a good mark. And the unique selling proposition of these Nagrik Suvidha Kendras, as they are called in Madhya Pradesh, is the G2C service, as I said, education services and utility payments. And there was some confusion in Madhya Pradesh because there are two kinds of Kendras, two kinds of services, two kinds of delivery points which are there in existence. One is called Lok Seva Kendra and one is Nagrik Suvidha Kendra. There is still some kind of a gap in communication because, urban service centers and rural service centers, and really with the kind of urbanization that is happening today, the difference is actually blurring. There is nothing called as urban service centers or rural service centers. So that is the problem where, somebody says, well, he is called urban, I am called rural, my business he is taking, so on and so forth. So such issues arose, and that's a similar incidence which we found in Madhya Pradesh as well. Here too, promotional campaigns do play a crucial role, as we found out. Andhra Pradesh, about 61% earn about 3,000 per month, and their expenses are 2,200. They are called as Me Seva centers. Earlier they were called E-Seva, now they are called Me Seva centers, and their unique selling proposition is G2C certificates, income, birth certificate, caste certificate, integrated certificate, all those, and that's encumbrance and all. So those are the they are the mainstay. Again, many people in Andhra Pradesh, the CSCs, the VLEs who man them, said that entrepreneurship is a problem there, and there are some issues of, they said that, the selection of VLEs has to be done by in consultation with the SCA, but sometimes it doesn't all the time it doesn't happen that way, and there were some issues. So what is important is the District E-Governance Society and the SCA working together in screening the applications of the VLEs and setting them up, or sort of giving setting up the CSEs through them. That's an important aspect which came out. And there are, of course, because of these proliferation of CSEs, there are specific to Andhra Pradesh, as we found, there are a number of court cases where one VLE filing against the other or filing against the government, so on and so forth. So this, which is an avoidable situation. In Kerala actually is a very high performing state on these CSEs. The VLEs there earn as high as 20,000 rupees per month, and say, look, this is my only source of income, and I feel proud that I am selected as a VLE in my village. I derive a lot of respect in my family. Earlier I used to just roam about on the streets. Today everybody recognizes me because I am a VLE, and many people come to me for services. So it kind of social, he feels that social and economic uplift of this person has happened, and that motivates him. Not so much about the income he earns, which can actually be some kind of an impact of his good work, but prima facie he is a very motivated individual. And as we said, if he is the sole breadwinner or if the VLE happens to be a woman, and graduate is it's a proxy, because they are able to read the scheme details better. They are able to interpret them better, they are able to explain it to the citizens better, they are able to carry on the promotional campaigns better. So that's how. And some of them who have prior, what happens is, even if there is a small error, then they log a call into the SCA's call center, or the computer there is not working. But if this gentleman or woman is active on computers, if they have prior knowledge of computers, then they fix it themselves, and there is a very little downtime of the CSE. So the VLE having prior knowledge of computers is immensely contributing to the uptime of the CSEs, and thereby to the income and satisfaction levels among the users. Again, promotional campaigns we found. So the VLE, successful CSE model has a VLE who has all these attributes. Similarly, power availability, internet availability are issues which are contributing to the success of the CSEs. As far as services are concerned, the main stake are G2C, which are, E-District is again a mission mode project, as all of you know, and the states are progressing steadily on to making these E-District services popular, and CSE is the vehicle through which these E-District services would be rendered. So there is a good synergetic link there. Financial inclusion services, utility payments, and educational services. So the income or the mainstay of the CSEs is currently concentrated on all these four. We also found that if the CSE is set up by an SCA who is proactive, who ensures that complaints are resolved. In some cases we found the complaint is resolved immediately. In some cases, for example, in J&K, they say the SCA takes, and partly because SCA there is a bank, it's not a computer agency. So they say, if we have technical glitches, then the bank takes about a week to solve our problems. So there are issues of how quickly the grievances of the VLEs are being addressed. And if the SCA is visiting the CSEs to handhold and resolve the problems that they have on the ground level. Which of course I have not mentioned much in detail here, there are clauses which are restrictive. For example, some of the SCAs, when they sign an agreement with the VLE, they say under no circumstances shall you contact the state government directly, the SDA directly, the utility provider directly, etc., etc., etc. It's a free country. These restrictive clauses are actually they shouldn't be there, but they are there, and VLE's court look, this is. And similarly, some of these agreements where they say, the revenue share, there is a revenue support, revenue share between the SCA and the VLE. There are certain clauses which are quite restrictive, which they say that these revenue share shall be decided at the sole discretion of the SCA, at its free will and authority, and it can change at any time and all that. Those have to go. So there are several issues like that. So simple enforceable agreements would go a long way in contributing to the sustainability and the motivational levels and morale of the VLEs. And the last point, as I said, is revenue sharing should be transparent, timely, and uniform manner. That doesn't, because there is to be, even the SDA to SCA agreements are fairly standard, even though, for example, in Rajasthan, the SDA SCA agreement says the SCA, whatever he signs with VLE has to be in black and white, all the terms and conditions, including the revenue sharing agreements. In some states, the SDA to SCA agreement says SCA is at liberty to do whatever he wants with VLEs. That's not really a healthy kind of a section, because some SCAs, if they are not all that upright, tend to exploit those clauses. So some of these are the suggestions which we have brought out, and as I said, this is just a snapshot of the findings that we have had, and given the limitation of time, I didn't want to extend the session or bore you with minutiae. So if you have any questions, we can take that. Thank you so much.
CSE is offering passport services, or because that is a very high revenue earning. I've seen people sitting in front of the passport offices. Just to apply for a passport, they charge 500 rupees, because the other G2C services like income certificate, nativity, all you can charge only say maybe 20 rupees or 15 or 13 rupees. But these are activities that can really be a source of income. Passport and filing of income tax, again, it requires people charge up to 300 rupees. So are these services being offered by CSEs, because they can substantially improve the profitability of the CSEs? First question. Second is, did you find any rural-urban difference in the remuneration that the CSEs were earning, or in the access of the people to these services? Thank you.
Yeah, but on my screen I can see that passport application processing is something which Kerala is doing in a big way, but no, not the remaining 6 states that we have done. Coming to the VLEs, and that is where we feel capacity building is inadequate. It happens, but it is inadequate, and there's a great scope there for improvement. That's point number 1. Point number 2, our study is restricted to rural CSEs only. We did not cover any urban CSEs, and hence I cannot answer that question.
Sir, I have E-Jalakam, which is a compilation of the manner in which you can access services.
I see.
Passport services are now sought to be integrated very strongly into the common service centers. The Government of India has a major program. I don't know whether somebody is, that is being done, and I think with that, passport together with the police verification will get integrated, and then it will be a great source of relief. You don't have to go behind the police constable or the sub-inspector. Now, the moment a person makes an application, there is already a database, and one computer will talk to the other computer and finds out whether or not there are any questionable cases against that individual. So that comes the reply to the passport office saying that there is nothing. So I think a great deal of facilitation will take place. That's happening all over the country, I think, in the next few months. It's already happened?
From April onwards, it will be live.
Yeah, that's from April onwards, all passports will be online. In fact, passport applications are also being taken in the urban centers in Hyderabad. But the problem in passport is not so much the access to the service. It's the process of filling it up.
Correct.
That is what is the problem. Particularly for people in the rural areas, the question of filling up the passport application form is one I think Dr. Nirmala Padmanabhan would help by educating the students in the process of, you see, something like a traditional Pyravi car. He did render a useful service by facilitating the illiterate rural people with some of these facilitations. So I think the students can be of great help in filling up the passport application.
Yeah.
Just to supplement, just permit me 1 minute to it is, today the VLE is the operator. VLE, along with, if the center has 2 or 3 more counters, then he engages 1 or 2 other people, and then they deliver the services to the citizen. The way they look at it is, why are all these computer education programs, skill building programs, why are they happening, and why is CSE the nodal point and hub for all these activities? The intention is that the rural populace, people living in the rural areas, go through these, learn, particularly the youth, You know, these days learning computer, etc. is not really rocket science. So if they are able to learn the operations of the computer, the Department of Electronics and IT envisages that in the next phase of the CSE scheme, that citizens themselves should be able to operate the computers and avail, and whatever they want to do, whichever service they want to avail, they can do that without the assist. VLE will be only an enabler or a facilitator, whereas the citizens would handle it by themselves. That's one point. Secondly, for example, all of us do fill, taking that up, we fill the passport applications today. And fairly simple, I would say that it goes to the credit of the passport offices. You fill in and you get a time allotment and then you go there and take care of your services. So whatever we do, with a bit of help and hand-holding, I'm sure the citizens would also be able to do. Thank you.
Yes, with the traditional system, what they are doing, by and large, it is shifted to the VLEs. And if so, then what is the role of the Gram Panchayats? And again, the focus is shifted from Gram Panchayat to VLEs. Can it be stable? Because tomorrow the reach of the services will be automatically without the mediation of any promoter or like VLE. But only the concept is there should be a coordinator across the village, different locations like education system, health and other aspects, as Kerala they are doing certain e-learning and all. For all the things, again the focus will come back to the Gram Panchayat concept. So will the VLE's promotion only a study, or there is a need of the requirement as per the citizens in this study?
If a Gram Panchayat is becoming redundant, let it be so. The intention of introduction of this is to be dismantled tomorrow, let it be dismantled. The question is, ultimately, if it is going to facilitate the citizen to access a service without any effort, if people in Korea can access all government services sitting at home 24/7, I think the same facility should be available to an Indian citizen. So even the common service centers of which we have done a study will be a transitory phase if all services, including health and education, are rendered through the portals. Today you are able to buy tickets worth lakhs of rupees, transfer money running into crores through the payment gateways. Why can't you access services through the technology by great deal of facilitation? So I think we need to, that's what I constantly mention in my off-the-cuff reaction.
Sir, here
All the existing administrative structures will have to be looked at in the wake of the introduction of technology. The local grassroots institutions, local political institutions will have to be looked at. There has to be a constitutional review of the administrative and political processes. Probably even the assembly discussions can take place by people sitting at home and fighting instead of coming back and throwing the mics at different people. So technology facilitates this interaction. There is no need for an advocate from Srikakulam to go anywhere. If a person from US wants to get a caste certificate from a common service center, Mr. Somasekar talked of portability. There should be portability even in the common service centers. It should be possible if you have a network, if you have a data center, and get a certificate which is digitally signed. But that day is not in the near future. Probably we are inching to that. I don't feel very sad about the demise of traditional institutions, either political or administrative. That is what the technology should facilitate.
the disbanding the physical entity of Gram Panchayat, instead the concept.
The possibility of dismantling. But I know that it takes a lot of time for our traditional thinking process to reorient itself. That's why I always recommend a constitutional review of the administrative and the political structures to look at what technology impact has done to this country and to other countries, and how the processes can be simplified to the advantage of the citizen.
Request the SIPS authorities to introduce the next speaker. We apologize you, sir, that we have to hold you on for some time.